Dr. Maya Collins was having her morning coffee when the emergency alarm screamed through the USS Healing Wind. She dropped her cup and ran to the bridge, her heart pounding. Captain Jake Morrison was already there, his face pale as he stared at the communication screen. "Doctor, we have a situation," Jake said. "Kepler Station just sent out a distress call. They have a plague outbreak and it's bad." Maya looked at the screen. The message was short but terrifying. Over 3,000 beings from 12 different alien species were dying at Kepler Station. The Galactic Health Consortium had already sent their best doctors, but they were calling it hopeless. The death rate was climbing every hour. "How long until we get there?" Maya asked. 6 hours if we push the engines hard," Jake replied. "But Maya, the consortium doctors are saying there's nothing anyone can do. This thing is killing everything it touches." Maya grabbed the communication device. "This is Dr. Collins. I need to speak with the medical team at Kepler Station right away." A tired voice came through the speaker. It was Dr. Vextal, a Zephyrite physician Maya had worked with before. "Maya, thank the stars you're coming. But I must warn you, this plague is unlike anything we've seen. It affects all species equally. We've lost over 200 beings already." "What are the symptoms?" Maya asked, already moving toward the medical bay. "Complete cellular breakdown. The cells just stop working and die. We've tried every treatment protocol in the database. Nothing works." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. A plague that could kill any species was every doctor's worst nightmare. But she had to try. "Keep everyone alive until I get there. I don't care what it takes." The next 6 hours felt like days. Maya studied every piece of data from Kepler Station. The plague had started 3 days ago, when a mining ship docked at the station. Within hours, crew members from the ship started getting sick. Then it spread to the station workers, the traders, the diplomats, everyone. What made it so scary was how fast it worked. Beings would feel tired, then weak, then their organs would start shutting down. Most died within 12 hours of the first symptoms. The lucky ones lasted a day. When the USS Healing Wind finally docked at Kepler Station, Maya could see the fear in everyone's eyes. The station's corridors were nearly empty. Those who were still healthy stayed in their quarters, too scared to come out. Dr. Vexatal met Maya at the airlock. His crystal-like Zephyrite body was dim, which meant he was exhausted. "Maya, I'm glad you're here, but you need to know, we've lost over 800 beings since this morning. The plague is getting worse." Maya followed him through the station. The medical bay was packed with patients from dozens of different species. Valorian warriors lay next to Cathara workers. Nexari energy beings flickered weakly in special containment fields. She had never seen so many different alien species suffering together. "Show me the test results," Maya said. Vextal handed her a data pad. Maya studied the numbers, her mind racing. Every species showed the same pattern. Their cells were dying, but not from any disease or virus she recognized. It was like someone had turned off a switch inside every living cell. "Have you checked for quantum particle exposure?" Maya asked. "Quantum particles?" Vextal looked confused. "Why would we check for that? This is clearly a biological plague." Maya was already moving toward the scanner equipment. "Maybe it's not biological at all. Maybe it's physical." She ran new tests on the patients, looking for things the other doctors hadn't thought to check. While she worked, more sick beings were brought in. The station's captain, a tough Valorian named Krextor, was now among the dying. "Doctor," he gasped as Maya examined him, "my warriors respect you. If you can't save us, at least make our deaths honorable." "Nobody's dying on my watch," Maya said firmly. She turned to her team. "Sam, I need you to scan for subatomic particle traces. Tony, check the mining ship's cargo records. Lisa, find out exactly where that ship has been." Her team looked at her like she was crazy, but they did as she asked. Maya kept working, treating symptoms while her mind worked on the bigger picture. There had to be a connection she was missing. Then Sam called out, "Maya, I found something. There are traces of exotic quantum particles all over the station. They're concentrated near the docking bay where the mining ship is." Maya's heart jumped. What kind of particles? Something I've never seen before. They seem to interfere with cellular energy production. Everything clicked into place. Maya ran to the mining ship, her team following behind. In the cargo hold, she found containers of a strange glowing ore. Her scanner went crazy when she pointed it at the containers. That's it, she whispered. That's what's killing everyone. The ore was releasing quantum particles that were breaking down the energy systems inside living cells. It didn't matter what species you were. All life needed cellular energy to survive. The particles were like a universal poison. Maya ran back to the medical bay. I know what's causing this and I know how to fix it. She worked for the next 18 hours straight, developing a treatment that would repair the cellular damage caused by the quantum particles. It was like performing surgery on every cell in a body at the same time. The other doctors thought she was attempting the impossible. But Maya had something the other doctors didn't. She refused to give up. She tried treatment after treatment, adjusting and improving each time. When one approach failed, she tried another. When that failed, she tried something completely different. Finally, at hour 20 of her non-stop work, she found it. A combination of human stem cell therapy and quantum field manipulation that could restart damaged cells. She tested it on the sickest patient first, Captain Krextor. Within an hour, his vital signs improved. Within 4 hours, he was sitting up. Within 8 hours, he was demanding to return to duty. Word spread quickly through the station. Maya's treatment worked on every species. She and her team worked around the clock, treating patient after patient. The death rate dropped to 0. Beings who had been dying were walking around again. When the crisis was over, Maya had saved over 2,800 lives. The Galactic Health Consortium called it a miracle. The survivors called it proof that humans were something special. But Maya just called it doing her job. She was a doctor, and doctors saved lives. It didn't matter if those lives belonged to humans or aliens. Sick was sick, and her job was to make people better. As the USS Healing Wind prepared to leave Kepler Station, Captain Krextor approached Maya one last time. Dr. Collins, you have saved not just our lives but our honor. We will not forget what you have done. Maya smiled tiredly. Just try to stay away from quantum ore in the future, okay? She didn't know it yet, but word of her success was already spreading across the galaxy. A human doctor had done what no alien physician could do. She had found a way to save everyone regardless of species or biology. Maya Collins was about to become famous, whether she wanted to or not. 3 weeks after the incident at Kepler Station, Maya was trying to catch up on her medical reports when Lieutenant Tony Jackson burst into her office. His face was excited and worried at the same time. Dr. Collins, you need to see this message. It's from the Valorian Empire. Maya looked up from her work. The Valorians were known throughout the galaxy as the proudest and most dangerous warrior race. They never asked for help from anyone, especially not from humans. What do they want? Tony handed her the communication device. A deep growling voice filled the room. It was speaking in heavily accented Galactic Standard, the universal language used for trade and diplomacy. Human Doctor Maya Collins, I am War Chief Daxmore of the Valorian Third Fleet. My brother, Prince Thaxmore, lies dying from wounds that our greatest healers cannot cure. Word has reached us of your success at Kepler Station. We request your presence on our home world of Valoria Prime. Maya raised an eyebrow. Valorians never requested anything. They demanded or they conquered. Is there more? The message continued. However, you must understand our ways. No outsider may treat Valorian royalty without first proving their worth. You must undergo the trial of worth. If you fail, you will be sent away in shame. If you succeed, you may attempt to heal our prince. Maya sat back in her chair. She had heard stories about Valorian trials. They were dangerous, sometimes deadly. But she was also curious about what could be wrong with their prince that their own doctors couldn't fix. Tell them I accept, she said. Tony's eyes went wide. Maya, are you sure? Valorians have killed people during these trials before. A patient is a patient, Maya replied. And if their prince is dying, then I need to try to help. The journey to Valoria Prime took 5 days. Maya spent the time reading everything she could about Valorian biology and culture. They were a species that had evolved from predators with thick skin, powerful muscles, and a culture built around honor and combat. They believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. When the USS Healing Wind arrived at Valoria Prime, Maya was amazed by what she saw. The planet looked like a fortress. Massive cities covered in armor plating rose from the ground like metal mountains. Warships patrolled the skies constantly. War Chief Daxmore met them at the spaceport. He was 8 feet tall, covered in scars, and wore armor that looked like it had been through 100 battles. His yellow eyes studied Maya with obvious doubt. "So you are the human who thinks she can heal what Valorian medicine cannot," he said. "You are smaller than I expected." "Size doesn't matter when you're performing surgery," Maya replied calmly. Daxmore made a sound that might have been laughter. "We shall see. Come. Your trial begins now." He led Maya to a massive arena where hundreds of Valorian warriors were fighting in ritual combat. The sound of clashing weapons filled the air. Maya could see medical stations set up around the fighting area, where wounded warriors were being treated. "Your trial is simple," Daxmore explained. "You must serve as a combat medic during our war games. You will treat our wounded while the battle continues around you. If you show fear or fail to save lives, you fail the trial." Maya looked at the chaos in the arena. Weapons were flying everywhere. Explosions from training grenades shook the ground. It was like trying to perform surgery in the middle of a battlefield. "Do I get any protection?" she asked. "You get what every Valorian medic gets," Daxmore said, handing her a basic medical kit. "Your skills and your courage." Maya took a deep breath and walked into the arena. Almost immediately, a wounded Valorian warrior was brought to her. He had a deep cut across his chest and was bleeding heavily. Around her, the fighting continued. A practice sword flew over her head, missing her by inches. She forced herself to focus on the patient. Valorian blood was different from human blood, but the principles of stopping bleeding were the same. She worked quickly, her hands steady despite the chaos around her. More patients came. A warrior with a broken arm, another with burns from an explosion, a young fighter who had been knocked unconscious. Maya treated them all, moving from patient to patient without stopping. What surprised the watching Valorians was how calm Maya remained. While explosions went off around her and weapons clashed nearby, she never flinched. She kept working, her attention completely focused on her patients. The real test came when a massive Valorian warrior collapsed right in front of her. He was having some kind of seizure, his whole body shaking violently. The other Valorian medics backed away, unsure what to do. Maya didn't hesitate. She dove forward, checking his vital signs while his body thrashed around. She realized he was having an allergic reaction to something in the combat stimulants Valorians used before fighting. Working quickly, she prepared an injection to counteract the allergic reaction. But the warrior was moving too much for her to get a clear shot. Without thinking, Maya threw herself on top of him, using her own body weight to hold him still long enough to give him the injection. The medicine worked. The warrior's seizure stopped and his breathing returned to normal. Maya stood up, covered in dust and sweat but victorious. The arena had gone quiet. Every Valorian warrior was staring at her. Even the fighting had stopped. War Chief Daxmore walked over to her, his expression unreadable. "You saved Warrior Kextel's life. Our medics were afraid to get close enough to help him." "I'm a doctor," Maya said simply. "I help people who are hurt. That's what I do." Daxmore nodded slowly. "You have passed the trial of worth, but more than that, you have earned something no outsider has ever received: the respect of Valorian warriors. You may now attempt to heal Prince Thaxmore." The prince's condition was worse than Maya had expected. He had been wounded in a battle 3 months ago, and the wound had never properly healed. Infection had spread through his body, and he was slowly dying. The Valorian doctors had tried everything they knew, but nothing worked. Maya studied the prince's medical records. The problem wasn't just the infection, it was pain. The constant agony was preventing his body from healing itself. Valorians were taught to endure pain as a sign of strength, but sometimes the body needed to rest to heal. "I need to perform surgery," Maya told Daxmore. "But first, I need to help him manage his pain." "Valorians do not hide from pain," Daxmore said firmly. "I'm not asking him to hide from it," Maya replied. "I'm asking him to use his warrior discipline to help his body heal. There's a difference." The surgery took 14 hours. Maya worked carefully, removing infected tissue and repairing damaged organs. But the real breakthrough came when she taught Prince Thaxmore to use meditation techniques that turned his warrior training into healing focus. Instead of fighting the pain, he learned to channel it into determination to heal. It was still painful, but now the pain had a purpose. His body began to respond to treatment for the first time in months. When Prince Thaxmore finally woke up 3 days later, he was weak but alive. The infection was gone, and his body was healing properly. "You have done what our greatest healers could not," he said to Maya. "You have saved not just my life but my honor. I name you Blade Healer, the first non-Valorian to receive such a title." Maya smiled. "I'm just glad you're feeling better." As the USS Healing Wind prepared to leave Valoria Prime, Maya was surprised to receive a message from the Valorian High Command. They were offering her honorary citizenship and a permanent position as their chief medical officer. "Thank you," Maya replied, "but I think I can help more people by staying mobile. There are a lot of species out there who might need a doctor." War Chief Daxmore nodded approvingly. "Spoken like a true warrior. May your battles against death be victorious, Blade Healer." Maya didn't know it yet, but her reputation was growing. Word was spreading that the human doctor didn't just heal bodies, she healed spirits too. The galaxy was beginning to take notice of Dr. Maya Collins. Maya was checking her medical supplies when Commander Lisa Brooks walked into the medical bay with a puzzled expression on her face. She was holding a communication device that was glowing with a soft blue light. "Maya, we just received the strangest message I've ever seen," Lisa said. "It's from the Zephyrhites." Maya looked up with interest. The Zephyrhites were one of the oldest and most advanced species in the galaxy. They had evolved beyond physical bodies thousands of years ago, and now existed as pure consciousness inside crystal matrices. Most species considered them almost godlike in their intelligence. "What do the Zephyrhites want with us?" Maya asked. Lisa activated the message. A voice spoke, but it sounded like music made of mathematics. The universal translator worked hard to turn it into words Maya could understand. "Dr. Maya Collins of the human species. We are the Eternal Council of Zephyr Prime. We face a situation that threatens our continued existence. Our consciousness transfer protocols are failing. Our eldest minds are fragmenting and fading into nothingness." Maya frowned. "They're asking for medical help?" The message continued. "We do not believe you can solve our problem. Your species relies on primitive concepts like emotion and instinct. However, we are curious about your recent successes. We invite you to observe our situation. Perhaps your crude methods will provide entertainment during our final days." "They sound pretty sure I can't help them," Maya said dryly. "That's what makes this so strange," Lisa replied. "Why would they invite you if they think you'll fail?" Maya thought about it. The Zephyrhites were famous for their logic and their belief that emotion was a weakness left over from primitive evolution, but if their consciousness transfer system was failing, that meant their entire civilization was in danger. "Tell them I'm coming," Maya said. The journey to Zephyr Prime took a week. Maya spent the time studying everything she could find about Zephyrite biology and technology. What she learned was fascinating and frightening. The Zephyrhites had given up their physical bodies so long ago that they had forgotten what it was like to have feelings or instincts. When the USS Healing Wind arrived at Zephyr Prime, Maya gasped at what she saw. The planet was covered in massive crystal structures that reached up to the clouds. Each crystal contained millions of Zephyrite consciousnesses, all connected in a vast network of pure thought. A shuttle took Maya down to the planet's surface. She was met by Axiom Prime, the leader of the Eternal Council. He appeared as a shifting pattern of light inside a tall crystal column. Dr. Collins. His voice was like the sound of wind chimes in a storm. Welcome to our dying world. You may observe our final moments, though I doubt your emotional mind can comprehend what you see. Maya bit back her first response and instead asked, "Can you show me what's happening to your people?" Axiom Prime led her through the crystal city. Everywhere Maya looked, she could see lights flickering and fading inside the crystal structures. Some of the lights were pulsing erratically, while others were breaking apart into fragments. Our consciousness transfer technology has served us for 10,000 years, Axiom Prime explained, but now it fails us. When a Zephyrite's current crystal matrix wears out, the transfer to a new matrix is incomplete. Parts of the consciousness are lost. Memory, personality, even basic cognitive function. Maya watched as technicians worked, frantically around a large crystal that contained a fading light. How many have you lost? 57 of our greatest minds in the past month alone, Axiom Prime replied. At this rate, our civilization will end within a year. Maya studied the failing consciousness transfer. The technology was incredibly advanced, far beyond anything humans had developed. But something about it bothered her. Can I speak with one of the affected individuals? She asked. Axiom Prime seemed surprised by the request. Very well, but I warn you they may not be coherent. He led her to a crystal chamber where a Zephyrite named Logic Bearer was preparing for consciousness transfer. The being's light was dim and fragmented, clearly in distress. Logic Bearer, Maya said gently, can you tell me what you're experiencing? Confusion. The response came weakly. I remember calculations, but not why I made them. I know facts, but not what they mean. To me, I am becoming data without context. Maya nodded thoughtfully. She spent the next several hours interviewing other Zephyrite who had undergone failed transfers. A pattern began to emerge that the Zephyrite doctors had missed. That evening, Maya met with the Eternal Council. The crystal chamber where they gathered was enormous, filled with hundreds of glowing consciousnesses. I think I know what's wrong, Maya announced. The council's lights pulsed with what might have been amusement. Please, enlighten us with your primitive wisdom, Axiom Prime said. You're treating consciousness like computer data, Maya explained. But consciousness isn't just information, it's experience. It's memory connected to meaning. It's thoughts connected to feelings. Feelings are irrelevant, another council member, Pure Logic, interjected. We evolved beyond such crude mechanisms long ago. That's exactly the problem, Maya said. You've been so focused on preserving pure thought that you've forgotten that thoughts need emotional context to have meaning. When you transfer consciousness, you're copying the data but losing the connections that make that data meaningful. The council was silent for a long moment. Finally, Axiom Prime spoke. Even if your theory is correct, we cannot simply create emotions we no longer possess. You don't need to create them, Maya said. You need to remember them. They're still there, buried under thousands of years of logical thinking. I can help. You find them. What followed was the most unusual medical treatment Maya had ever attempted. Working with Zephyrite technicians, she developed a new transfer protocol that included memory anchoring and emotional resonance mapping. The key breakthrough came when Maya realized that the Zephyrite still had emotions. They had just forgotten how to recognize them. Their curiosity about her primitive methods was itself an emotion. Their fear of extinction was an emotion. Their pride in their logical achievements was an emotion. The first test was with Logic Bearer. Instead of transferring just his data patterns, Maya's new protocol also transferred the emotional connections that gave those patterns meaning. Why he had made certain calculations, how he felt about his discoveries, what his thoughts meant to him personally. The transfer was successful. Logic Bearer emerged in his new crystal matrix with his consciousness intact and complete. I remember now, he said wonderfully. I remember not just what I learned, but why it mattered to me. I remember the joy of discovery, the satisfaction. of solving problems, the pride in my work. Word of the successful transfer spread quickly through the Crystal City. Maya worked with the Zephyrite technicians to modify all their transfer equipment. One by one, they began saving their failing consciousnesses. But the real breakthrough came when Axiom Prime underwent his own transfer using Maya's protocol. For the first time in thousands of years, he experienced the full range of his consciousness, logic and emotion working together. "Dr. Collins," he said after his transfer was complete, "we have been fools. We thought emotion was weakness, but it is what gives strength to thought. Logic without wisdom is just calculation. Intelligence without compassion is just data processing." "You're not fools," Maya replied. "You just forgot that being advanced doesn't mean abandoning what makes you who you are." The Eternal Council voted unanimously to grant Maya access to their vast medical archives, knowledge that could help her treat any species in the galaxy. They also gave her a new title, the Bridge Between Thought and Feeling. As Maya prepared to leave Zephyr Prime, Axiom Prime approached her one final time. "We invited you here expecting you to fail," he admitted. "We thought your emotional approach to medicine was primitive. Instead, you have saved our entire civilization by teaching us that our greatest strength was something we had thrown away." "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways," Maya said with a smile. "You just need to remember why they worked in the first place." Maya didn't realize it, but her reputation was now spreading to species that had never paid attention to humans before. The Zephyrites were telling everyone who would listen about the human doctor who had saved them by combining advanced science with ancient wisdom. Dr. Maya Collins was becoming a legend, one successful treatment at a time. Maya was reading medical reports in her quarters when the ship's communication system crackled to life. Captain Jake Morrison's voice echoed through the corridors, calling all senior staff to the bridge immediately. When Maya arrived, she found Jake staring at a message display with a confused expression. Dr. Sam Martinez was already there, looking equally puzzled. "Maya, we just received the strangest distress call I've ever heard," Jake said. "It's from the Cathara Collective." Maya knew about the Cathara. They were an insectoid species that shared a single group mind across their entire race. Individual Cathara didn't really exist as separate people. They were all part of one massive consciousness that controlled billions of bodies across hundreds of worlds. "What kind of distress call?" Maya asked. Jake activated the message. The voice that came through was unlike anything Maya had heard before. It sounded like thousands of voices speaking in perfect harmony, creating a sound that was both beautiful and alien. "We are the Cathara Collective. We speak with one voice. Think with one mind, act with one purpose. But something terrible is happening to us. Parts of our collective are breaking away. Individual units are developing separate thoughts. This disease threatens our very existence." Maya frowned. "Individual thoughts? That sounds like they're becoming independent people." The message continued. "We request the presence of Dr. Maya Collins. Your reputation for solving impossible medical problems has reached even our collective consciousness. Please help us cure this plague of individuality before it destroys everything we are." Sam looked at Maya with concern. "This sounds dangerous. The Cathara have never dealt with individual consciousness before. They might not know the difference between helping and hurting." Maya thought about it. If Cathara were developing individual consciousness for the first time, they would be going through something incredibly traumatic. Their entire biology and psychology was built around being part of a group mind. "Tell them we're coming," Maya said. The journey to Cathara space took 8 days. Maya spent the time studying everything she could about hive mind species and the development of individual consciousness. What she learned worried her. If individual Cathara were breaking away from the collective without proper support, most of them would probably die. When the USS Healing Wind arrived at Cathara Prime, Maya was amazed by what she saw. The planet looked like a giant anthill, with massive structures that spiraled up from the ground in perfect geometric patterns. Millions of Cathara moved across the surface in coordinated swarms, all working together like parts of a single organism, Queen Mind. Zexara met them at the spaceport. She was larger than the worker Cathara, with 4 arms and a crown-like structure on her head that glowed with bioluminescent patterns. When she spoke, her voice carried the harmony of the entire collective. "Dr. Collins, welcome to our world. We hope you can cure this terrible disease that is fragmenting our unity." Maya followed the Queen to a medical facility where they were keeping the affected Kithara. What she saw broke her heart. Dozens of individual Kithara were lying in isolation chambers, their bodies shaking and their minds clearly in distress. These units began developing independent thoughts 3 weeks ago, Queen Mind Zexara explained. They can no longer hear the collective voice. They speak only for themselves. It is unnatural and wrong. Maya approached one of the isolation chambers. Inside was a young Kithara who was curled up in a corner, making soft whimpering sounds. When Maya looked at him, he met her eyes, something collective Kithara never did. "Hello," Maya said gently. "What's your name?" The Kithara looked confused. "Name? I don't understand. I am..." He paused, struggling with the concept. "I am me, but I don't know what that means." Maya turned to Queen Mind Zexara. "Can I examine them?" "Of course. Do whatever you must to return them to the collective." Maya spent the next several hours studying the individual Kithara. What she found surprised her. They weren't sick. They were evolving. Their brain structures were changing, developing new neural pathways that allowed for independent thought and self-awareness. But the process was killing them. Kithara biology was designed to be supported by the collective consciousness. Without that connection, their bodies were shutting down from stress and isolation. "Queen Mind Zexara," Maya said after completing her examinations, "I need to tell you something important. Your people aren't sick. They're evolving into something new." The Queen's bioluminescent crown flashed with what Maya recognized as anger. "Impossible. Evolution is slow and purposeful. This is chaos and disease." "Evolution isn't always slow," Maya explained. "Sometimes species make rapid changes when they encounter new environments or challenges. Your people are developing the ability to exist both as individuals and as part of the collective." "That is not possible," the Queen said firmly. "One cannot be both individual and collective. They must choose." Maya shook her head. "That's where you're wrong. I think I can help them be both." What Maya proposed was revolutionary, the galaxy's first consciousness surgery. She would create a new type of neural pathway that would allow the individual Kithara to maintain their separate identities while still being able to connect to the collective when they chose to. "It's like being bilingual," Maya explained to the worried Queen. "They can speak both languages, the language of the individual mind and the language of the collective consciousness." The first surgery was performed on the young Kithara Maya had spoken to earlier. She worked carefully, using techniques she had learned from the Zephyrite combined with human neurosurgery methods. The operation took 12 hours. When the Kithara woke up, something amazing happened. He looked at Maya with clear individual awareness, but when Queen Mind Zexara approached, he was able to connect briefly with the collective consciousness. "I am Kickstar," he said, speaking his own name for the first time. "But I am also part of the whole. I can choose when to be me and when to be us." The Queen was stunned. "This should not be possible. Yet I can feel him in the collective when he chooses to join us, and I can sense his individual thoughts when he withdraws." Maya performed the surgery on 12 more individual Kithara over the next week. Each one successfully developed the ability to switch between individual and collective consciousness. But the real breakthrough came when some of the collective Kithara began asking for the surgery themselves. They wanted to experience individual consciousness while still maintaining their connection to the group mind. "We are curious," one collective Kithara explained to Maya. "We want to know what it feels like to be alone with our own thoughts." Within a month, Maya had created the galaxy's first hybrid consciousness species. Some Kithara chose to remain purely collective. Others became purely individual, but most chose to be both, switching between states as they desired. Queen Mind Zexara was initially resistant to the changes, but eventually she too underwent the surgery. The experience of individual consciousness amazed her. "I never knew that thoughts could be private," she told Maya afterwards. "I never knew that ideas could belong to just one mind. It is peaceful in a way I did not expect." The transformation of Kithara society was rapid and profound. Their art became more creative as individual minds contributed unique perspectives. Their science advanced faster as both collective and individual thinking tackled problems. Their culture became richer as personal relationships developed alongside collective bonds. Maya was honored with a title that had never existed before, Friend of Both Minds. The ceremony was attended by thousands of Kithara in both individual and collective states. "Dr. Collins," Queen Mind Zexara said during the ceremony, "you came here believing we wanted you to cure a disease. Instead, you helped us discover that what we thought was sickness was actually growth. You taught us that evolution doesn't have to mean choosing between old and new. Sometimes it means finding a way to be both." As Maya prepared to leave Kithra Prime, she was approached by Kixitar, the first individual she had helped. "Dr. Collins," he said, "because of you, I know what it means to be myself. But I also know what it means to be part of something larger. Thank you for showing us that we didn't have to choose." Maya smiled. "Sometimes the best solution isn't picking sides. Sometimes it's finding a way for everyone to win." Word of Maya's success with the Kithara spread quickly through the galaxy. She had done something that most species thought was impossible. She had helped an entire race evolve while preserving what made them special. Dr. Maya Collins was no longer just a skilled doctor. She was becoming known as someone who could solve problems that threatened entire civilizations. The galaxy was beginning to realize that humans brought something unique to the cosmic community, the ability to find solutions that nobody else had thought of. Maya was reviewing patient files when the strangest message she had ever received arrived at her ship. The communication device glowed with shifting patterns of light that hurt to look at directly. When the universal translator tried to process the message, it struggled to turn the alien concepts into words humans could understand. Crude organic entity designated Maya Collins. The voice sounded like electricity singing. "We are the Nexari Ascendant. We exist beyond the limitations of flesh and bone. We contact you not for assistance, but to offer you the privilege of witnessing our final transcendence beyond existence itself." Maya stared at the message display. The Nexari were beings of pure energy who considered all organic life to be primitive and temporary. They lived in ships that existed partially in other dimensions and communicated through energy patterns that most species couldn't even detect. "Your recent activities among the lesser species have been amusing," the message continued. "We wish you to observe as we achieve the ultimate evolution, the abandonment of all form and consciousness. Soon we shall become one with the infinite void." Captain Jake Morrison appeared beside Maya, looking concerned. "Maya, that doesn't sound like a medical call for help. It sounds like they're planning to die." "That's exactly what it sounds like," Maya agreed. "But they're calling it transcendence." Dr. Sam Martinez joined them, reading the message over Maya's shoulder. "Why would they want you to watch them cease to exist?" Maya thought about it. In all her previous cases, the aliens had at least admitted they had a problem. The Nexari seemed convinced that dying was actually a good thing. "Maybe they don't realize they're in trouble," Maya said. "Or maybe they're too proud to ask for help directly." "It could be a trap," Jake warned. "The Nexari have never shown interest in organic life before." Maya made her decision. "Tell them I'll come. If they're really dying, they need help whether they want to admit it or not." The journey to Nexari space was unlike anything Maya had experienced before. The Nexari didn't exist in normal space. Their dimension ships traveled through areas where reality worked differently. The USS Healing Wind had to use special shields just to survive the trip. When they finally reached the Nexari fleet, Maya gasped at what she saw. The ships looked like crystalline structures made of solidified lightning, constantly shifting between different states of matter. But something was wrong. Many of the ships were flickering weakly, their energy patterns fading. A Nexari entity, called Prime Radiance transported Maya to their command ship, using an energy beam that converted her temporarily into pure information. The experience was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. "Welcome, organic creature," Prime Radiance said when Maya materialized on their ship. The entity appeared as a shifting column of bright energy contained within geometric force fields. "You arrive at the perfect moment to witness our achievement of ultimate transcendence." Maya looked around the ship. Everywhere she saw Nexari entities that were growing dimmer and more unstable. Some were barely visible, their energy signatures fragmenting into random patterns. "How many of your people are transcending?" Maya asked carefully. "All of us," Prime Radiance replied proudly. "We have finally overcome the crude limitations of form and consciousness. Soon we will achieve perfect unity with the cosmic void." Maya studied the failing Nexari more closely. She had dealt with energy-based life forms before, and what she was seeing didn't look like evolution, it looked like death. "Can I examine some of your people who are further along in this process?" Maya asked. Prime Radiance seemed amused by the request. "Very well. Perhaps observing our transcendence will help your primitive species understand what true advancement looks like." Maya was taken to a chamber where dozens of Nexari were in the final stages of what they called transcendence. Their energy patterns were almost completely dissolved, barely maintaining enough coherence to communicate. "Tell me what you're experiencing," Maya said to one of the fading entities. "Freedom," the Nexari whispered, its voice like static electricity. "Freedom from the burden of thought, from the limitations of form, from the pain of existence." "Pain?" Maya asked. "What kind of pain?" "The pain of being alone," the entity replied. "We are the most advanced beings in the galaxy, yet we are eternally isolated. We cannot touch. We cannot truly connect. We exist in perfect solitude." Maya felt a chill run through her. She spent the next several hours interviewing more dying Nexari. The same theme emerged again and again. They weren't transcending to a higher state of existence. They were giving up because they were lonely. The Nexari had spent so long believing they were superior to organic life that they had cut themselves off from any meaningful relationships. They existed in isolation, convinced that their energy-based existence made them better than everyone else. "Prime Radiance," Maya said when she returned to the command chamber. "Your people aren't transcending. They're dying from loneliness." The entity's energy pattern flashed with what might have been anger. "Impossible. We are beyond such crude emotional needs. We have evolved past the requirement for connection with inferior life forms." "That's exactly the problem," Maya said. "You've convinced yourselves that needing others is a weakness, but connection is what gives existence meaning. Without it, consciousness becomes a burden instead of a gift." Prime Radiance was silent for a long moment. "Even if your primitive theory were correct, what could be done? We cannot simply create connections we have never possessed." "You can learn," Maya said. "I can teach you." What Maya proposed was the most dangerous medical procedure she had ever attempted. She would create a temporary connection between her human consciousness and a dying Nexari entity, showing them what it felt like to truly connect with another being. The procedure required Maya to allow her consciousness to be converted into energy patterns compatible with Nexari biology. If something went wrong, she could be lost forever in an alien mind. Maya chose to link with Void Whisper, one of the most advanced Nexari entities. As their consciousnesses merged, Maya felt the incredible loneliness that had driven the Nexari to choose extinction. But she also showed Void Whisper what connection felt like. The warmth of friendship, the joy of shared experiences, the comfort of knowing you weren't alone in the universe. The effect was immediate and profound. Void Whisper's energy patterns stabilized and began to grow brighter. For the first time in its existence, it understood what it meant to truly connect with another consciousness. "This feeling," Void Whisper said wonderingly, "is this what organic beings call friendship?" "It's one kind of connection," Maya replied. "There are others: love, compassion, understanding. The important thing is that you don't have to be alone. Word of the successful procedure spread quickly through the Nexari fleet. Other entities began requesting similar connections, not just with Maya, but with each other, and even with organic species they had previously considered inferior. Prime Radiance was among the last to undergo the procedure. When it experienced true connection for the first time, its entire worldview changed. "We have been fools," it admitted to Maya. "We thought our superiority meant we needed no one else. Instead, our isolation was killing us slowly. You have shown us that strength comes not from being above others, but from being connected to them." Within weeks, the Nexari had formed partnerships with dozens of organic species. They discovered that their energy-based existence could enhance organic consciousness in amazing ways, while organic creativity and emotion gave new meaning to their energy patterns. Maya was given a title that had never existed in Nexari language: the Merger of Paths. It meant someone who brings together things that were meant to be connected. As Maya prepared to leave Nexari space, Prime Radiance approached her one final time. "Dr. Collins, we invited you here to witness what we thought was our greatest achievement. Instead, you showed us that our greatest achievement was yet to come, learning to be part of something larger than ourselves." "Nobody has to be alone," Maya said simply. "The universe is big enough for all of us to find our place in it." When Maya returned to human space, she found that her reputation had grown beyond anything she could have imagined. Representatives from hundreds of species were requesting her help. Medical schools across the galaxy wanted to study her techniques, but the most important message came from Admiral Kate Harrison. "Maya, Starfleet Command wants to build you a new ship, the UES Legacy. It will be the galaxy's first truly interspecies medical vessel, crewed by representatives from every species you've helped." Maya smiled as she read the message. She had started as just a human doctor trying to help sick people. Now she was becoming something more, proof that sometimes the most human thing you can do is refuse to accept that someone can't be saved. 6 months later, Dr. Maya Collins stood on the bridge of the UES Legacy, looking out at the stars. Her crew included Valorian warriors, Zephyrite consciousnesses, individual and collective Cathara, and energy-based Nexari. They were heading toward a new crisis, a new species that needed help. Maya had become a legend not because she was superhuman, but because she was completely stubbornly human. She saw patience where others saw problems. She found solutions where others saw impossibilities. She built bridges where others saw walls. The galaxy was vast and full,